Welcome to the Shutdown Stories episode number 6. Yeah, so I got Brian Burrows here. Brian, you just qualified for the Tokyo Olympics, which were supposed to happen this summer in 2020, but have since been pushed back to 2021. What was the day you qualified like?
The day I qualified, it took a couple days for it to hit. So the first day I qualified, obviously I was excited. Um, but to wait a couple days and let it really sink in that I was going to be an Olympian, that I was going to the Olympics, something I've tried for since I was 14 years old, was incredible. It was just amazing. The day that it happened, it was just so surreal that, like I said, it didn't really hit me, but it was still a very good day.
So you are a qualifier in one of the shooting competitions. Give us a little insight on what that competition looks like and kind of what a normal day for you looks like, whether you're training or competing or anything else.
So a competition, what I do is international trap shooting. So we have the clay targets. They're orange. They're about that big, and there's different disciplines. I shoot trap, so the targets will be going away from you at various angles and heights, and the speeds are around 70 miles an hour for the targets. So it, generally, that's the game. Each round is 25 targets, and typically a match can be 125 targets or 250 targets.
Wow.
So that's kind of the breakdown there of generally what trap is, international trap is.
So what was the tournament or competition that you qualified in? Who were you competing against? Just what did that look like?
So what the tournament I was competing in was the Olympic trials. So we have a
Hmm.
two-part process. We had one Olympic trials in the fall of 2019, and then the spring of 2020 was the other one. And we combined the scores from both of those matches. Top two people go. So top two men, top two women in each discipline.
So what's a score that you need to advance? I mean, obviously you did advance. So was it 125, 250? What do you need to be basically perfect to even have a shot?
Typically, so speaking on an international stage, like World Cup stage, Olympics, things like that, to make the final, which is everybody will shoot 150 or 125 targets, and then you'll go in, top six will go into a final situation. And internationally, if you're shooting about 121, 122 out of 125, you'll make the final. And the U.S. we have a pretty strong team. So we have many people that have medaled internationally, World Cups. Um, and so the scores to be competitive, it varies too, depending on the location of the competition. Sometimes, the background or the lighting or the weather will play into it, and you'll see high scores or low scores. But if you're shooting that 120 to 125, you're pretty competitive.
So very little room for error within those.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So now let's talk about the day where you found out that the Olympics were being pushed back. What was that moment like for you when the IOC passed down the news saying, "Hey, this isn't going to happen in 2020, or we're going to at least 2021," or even before that, when certain teams were just talking about not sending athletes if they didn't postpone the entire competition?
So when they came out and said that the games were going to be postponed, I was actually pretty relieved because leading up to, you can see the writing on the wall. They were holding out for as long as they could, saying no, we're having the Olympics. It's going to be in 2020. But you could tell just when the NBA is not playing any games, when golf tournaments are canceled, when all these major things are shutting down, they're not going to hold the Olympics. So, well, in my mind, what are the options that you have? You've got postpone it or cancel it. So for them, when they came out and said it's going to be postponed until 2021, it was kind of a relief because the alternative was that you just wouldn't have it. So
Mm-hmm.
it would be pretty devastating for not just myself but my teammates, my Team USA teammates in all sports, if we qualify for the Olympics and there's no Olympics, you know.
Hmm.
So when they came across and said, "Hey, it's delayed," it was a little bit relieving because it was stressful leading up to it, and it's it's not the best scenario. I mean, I'm shooting great right now. I'm ready to go compete this July. Obviously, that's not going to happen,
Right.
but I will make the best of the situation. I've got a little over a year now to make sure that I'm ready and I'm peaking for that moment, for that match, so I can be ready and put all my energy towards that one match.
What does that training look like, since it is kind of a long distance target? I mean, you're talking about having over a year to get yourself to where you feel like you're heating up at the right time and you're shooting some of the best shots of your life. What are you going to be doing for this next year?
So, with the shotgun side of things, with the trap team, there's 2 men and 2 women. And so there's a team of 4 of us. And in skeet, which is another shotgun event, there's 2 men and 2 women. So collectively, we've got 8 people. So what we'll do is we'll train individually. You know, I'll work on certain techniques and things that I need to work on, kind of keeping my vision small and work on little things to just to make sure I'm sharp. And then as a team, we'll come together at periodic times to, we'll have a training camp, we'll practice, we'll come together, we'll have a competition. If we can start traveling internationally, then we'll go to, historically, we've gone to different countries, Italy, Korea, places like that, to compete against some of the other people we'll see at the games. So it's kind of a 3-level deal. If I'll practice on my own by myself, working on what I need to work on, and then we'll come together as a team and really bond as a team, help each other out, connect, and then we'll go overseas and try to have some competitions to really feel the pressure against the people we will be competing at the Olympics.
So let me know if I'm understanding this correctly. You each would score individually in these competitions, and then they go into a team score, or is it just individual across the board?
So there's 2 events that I would be competing at the games, and one of them is the individual, and it's just me. The target, high score wins. The other event is a mixed team, so you'll have 1 man and 1 woman. You combine your scores, and the highest team score wins. So that, obviously, I'll be working with my partner, and we don't know who that will be yet. We haven't selected the teams exactly. So, but when I talk about the team, the shotgun team or the shooting team, we've traveled the world together, we've trained together, we've competed together. So it's, even though it's an individual sport, it's definitely, there's a team aspect to it. We're motivating each other. We are there to encourage each other, and just to have a team behind you, rooting for you, pushing you, is great. And that's what we try to do, and we do it very well, of cultivating that team environment.
So what's that dynamic like where, yes, you are part of a team environment, you have them there to support you and back you up, but when you're out there shooting, it's you, the gun, and the target.
Yeah, absolutely. So since it is an individual sport, even when you're doing the team event, it's individual, just you, the gun, the target. So you have to keep your mind, very, very small on the things that you need to accomplish. But the team dynamic is, I want, I'll be competing against my teammate at the
Mm.
Olympics. So me and Derek Mine, he's the other guy that qualified for my event, we'll be competing against one another, but we'll also be encouraging one another, pushing one another, training, because at the end of the day, we're Team USA, we're shooting, and we want to bring a medal home, to the US. So even though we're
All right.
directly competing against one another, it's still there's camaraderie there.
Yeah, that's super cool. So shooting isn't necessarily always seen as one of the marquee events when the Olympics do come around. What's something about the sport that some people may not know or may not understand that you'd like to get out there?
So one of the things that blows people away is that shooting is one of the oldest events in the modern Olympics. So you think the Olympics, you think Greek, you think wrestling, running, marathon, things like that. Modern Olympics, think the same thing, but shooting was one of the first events to be in the modern games as well. So it's not something that's just been added. You see some events like surfing and golf, they've just been added to the games. Uh, the longevity of shooting at the games, it's been around since the beginning. So that surprises a lot of people. But, and a lot of people too, just from a shooting standpoint too, they're like, how do you get into shooting? Do you grow up in uh, a rural place, or did people have these conceptions of it? I grew up in LA and San Diego. So I'm from the beach. In high school I'd go surfing, and I would that's kind of my background, where I'm from. So the shooters, we have people that are from the farm. We have people that are from the city, that are from the country, that from all walks of life. And that's what's great about shooting, is that you don't have to be, fast, run fast, jump high. It's a very much a mental sport, and attracts people from all walks of life.
Very cool. When did you start to realize that the goal that you've now attained, qualifying for the Olympics, being able to call yourself a member of Team USA and an Olympian, when did that feel attainable? When did you kind of realize, like, hey, I have a shot at this?
So when I was, so I started shooting international trap when I was 14. And previous to that, I started shooting competitive shotgun when I was 8. So it kind of runs in my family a little bit. My grandfather shot competitively. My dad, me and my brother shoot. And so I've been shooting for a while. I found the game of international when I was 14. And then when I was 18, it was the Olympic trials for Beijing in
Hmm.
2008. And in the first trials, again, it was a 2-part process. In the first trials, I was number 3. So I had made the national team. I had made the junior national team. I had set a national record at that point. And I was like, okay, first half of the trials, I feel like I've got a good shot. Like I can compete and I can battle with these guys. And the guys I was shooting against were they're in the Army Marksmanship Unit, so that is their job, is to be a competitive shooter. They were in the Air Force Marksmanship Unit. They were on Team USA. They were all 20 plus years older than I was, and with the exception of Derek Mine, who's my now Olympic teammate, he and I were the youngest ones in the finals of that first Olympic trials, and unfortunately, we didn't uh, have the best of second halves of the trials. But back when we were 18, 19 years old was when I was like, hey, I can do this. I can make the Olympic team. The dream is real. It's not some pie in the sky thing. I can make this happen.
It's so cool. Well, I can only imagine what that day was like, just what looking ahead now. It's going to be so cool. I wish you the best of luck when you finally do get to Tokyo next year. Thanks for coming on the Shutdown Stories, Brian.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Take care.